Hi folks, welcome. Yeah, I was just setting up my mirror here. Yeah, it really surprises me actually, talking of mirrors, how I say to people on workshops, you know, do you use a mirror to throw with? Because I'm all the time talking about it in my videos, aren't I? About using a mirror, how useful it is. And people say to me, no, never used a mirror, never used a mirror. I think, what? You never used a mirror? You haven't lived, man. Maybe that's why your throwing ain't so good. You ought to use a mirror. Know what I mean? Maybe you're one of those people that hasn't yet discovered the mirror. If you haven't, then go and get yourself just a cheapo mirror like that. Set it up in a lump of clay and stick it right there so you can... But Simon, what's the mirror for? I don't understand. Oh my goodness. Well, the mirror gives you the sideways view of the pot that you don't get when you're on top of it making it. So, what I'm actually going to do is, what I wanted to do was make some more of those smaller mugs, those mugs I called ladies' mugs at the time when I made them. I've got one up here that is halfway in the process of being... This one's had white slip and it's been glazed on the inside. It's still waiting to be glazed on the outside. But I'm going to make some of those. Talk about that as we go, set a gauge and general chatter, you know, like I do. So, yeah, good to be back on the wheel. These are made, take note, well, in fact these ones were made 13 ounces and thrown 5 inches. But I'm going to make these next batch just a fraction bigger. They're going to be... these are 14 ounces, not 13. And they're going to be thrown more than 5 inches. They may be 5 3/8, they may be 5 1/4. I haven't yet decided. Just see how we go. So it's coning up, centering down. Yeah, well, we're using the skills, aren't we, that we've learnt in our Keep Practicing workshops. If you've been on one of my Keep Practicing workshops, we're using the skills that we learned there, the cylinder throwing skills, to make these forms. That if you can learn to throw a cylinder confidently, you'll be able to throw anything, really. Conversely, if you never learn to throw a cylinder properly, you're going to always be struggling. It's just a sad fact, but it's true. So let's just concentrate a moment here, see if I can just get the shape. .14 ounces. Yeah, well, I'm already 5 1/4. Shape's not quite right though yet. I've got to fill it out a bit. Somebody wrote in the comments I read the last time I made these, oh, it wouldn't be nearly enough. I think it was a lady who said so. It wouldn't be nearly enough coffee for me. Not nearly big enough. Maybe that's why I'm making them bigger. A little bigger. So, yeah, that's kind of just getting the shape right there. Throwing stick. Basically, I get the height and then I sort of eyeball the shape. And I don't worry too much about the width. I just kind of, if I can get the height right, and I have the form imprinted in my mind, as it were, then I know that the width will be, I won't have to worry about that. But I will measure it, just for, so you know. Well, that's about 3 1/4 approximately there at the top. Okay, are we in the picture? Do we need to move in a touch? Okay. Somebody walking down there. Okay. So, all right. I wanted to actually try and cover a couple of things with you. One is just I need to make some of these, so these are a good example. I could talk about these, but I want to give some of you some tips out there for help you with your throwing. Let me just set up the gauge. So what we need to do is, you see, once you're satisfied you've got the height, let's just check that height finally. Yeah, it's like, well, it's 5 1/4. 5 1/4 by 3 1/4 and 14 ounces, okay? Right, let's set the gauge. So I've got a lump of clay here. I'm going to take this old chopstick and push it into the clay and bring the oops, don't touch it. Bring the chopstick there up to the edge. I'm going to re-leather it because I just nicked it there with the gauge. Alright, let's just bring that camera over. I want you to see this. See, I want to get you all working to a gauge. It's the only way you're going to really learn repeat throwing is working to a gauge. Oh, Simon, that is so boring. Don't you ever make any art pots? Okay, so there's the shape of it. Just see the gauge is set in a lump of clay there, you see? You see there the gap? Yeah, it's about 1/16 of an inch away from it. So that gives you the height, you see? It's going to give you the height, but it's also going to give you the diameter. All in one simple all in one simple tool. Now I need it. This is not a twisted cutoff wire. I need a twisted cutoff. Oh dear. Where's my twisted? Gonna have to make a twisted cutoff wire. Hang on a second. Let's just see if I've got one over here. I'm actually in the process. Yeah, I'm in the process here. You see, of making some twisted cutoff wires, and these are not yet complete. I need to don't think I've got any. I think I let the last one go when I had a workshop here, and because somebody wanted one on the last workshop and I didn't have quite enough, so I let them have. Okay, well, never mind. I don't like using these long wires. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make some more, but not right now. Right now is not the time. Yeah, this is just a piece of this one is just a single stranded piece of nylon, but that's all I've got at the minute, so I'll have to use that. Okay folks, never mind. Okay, let me just get back here a second. Okay, let's cut this guy off. So with the wheel revolving slowly, okay, and straight through there like that. Okay, let's just lift him off. Alright, we'll put him there. Have a sip of coffee. It's good to be back on the wheel, I tell you. You know, I've been feeling out of sorts lately, you know, and it's like... Do you ever feel out of sorts? Just get on the wheel and you might discover you feel better. I call it the healing wheel. So yeah, what I wanted to I put some cinnamon in my coffee and it's in the bottom as dregs. What I wanted to talk about was 3 things. This is really important stuff. Hang on, let me see if I can refer to my blackboard. This is 3 things. 3 things. 1, I'm going to write these out and then I'm going to talk about them. Wheel speed. These are kind of observations of mine. Look through running workshops and watching the way people throw and what goes wrong. So wheel speed is one thing. The next thing, number 2, is pull. What do you call it? Like when you're pulling the clay. When you're pulling the clay, how shall we describe that? Pull speed? No, lift speed. Well, let's call it pull / lift speed. Yeah, I guess it's all speed, isn't it? Although that's not revolutions, that's coming up. And then 3, water. Amount of water. Amount of water. Okay, wheel speed, pull or lift speed, and amount of water. Let's just talk about these very quickly. Shut that door because it's making a creaky noise. Right. This is important. This is really important. Because if you can get if you can get these things right, these three things, you will seriously improve your throwing. Okay, very briefly, let's just talk about wheel speed. Now, for all of you guys out there who, this is not for people who already know how to throw. Okay, forgive me if if this is a repeat for you, then I'm sorry. But this is really some tips for people who are sort of really struggling, and it's not a nice place to be when you are wanting to progress in your ceramics, your throwing, and you just find you just hit a roadblock. Okay, so this is for those people. So wheel speed, number one. Most people who are working on the wheel, on an electric wheel, are working with the wheel going around too fast. Okay, so what you want to do is have a little bit of speed when you're centering the clay at this stage. Okay, when you're like coning up and you're centering down. Okay, that's a good time to have a little bit more speed than you would normally. But then as soon as you start to enter into this next stage, which is opening up the clay. Let's bring that camera over here a bit. We need to have a bit of detail, don't we? Let's just bring it over here a touch. I want you to see this. Okay, so yeah, so wheel speed, slow your speed down. Okay, especially when you're at this stage and now you're wanting to open out the clay. All right, you don't want to be. You want to slow down a touch. Okay, let's just progress with this one a little bit more. So now let's talk about number two, pull or lift speed. So if you want to have a lift speed here that is proportional to the speed of the wheel. So because what happens is if you have too fast a wheel speed and your lift speed is too slow, so I'm going up here rather slowly, you see what's happening is that the amount of water that there is on the side of the pot here is good for, let's say, so many revolutions. Let's supposing the amount of water when we water the piece, it's good for let's say 10 revolutions. Well, if when you're lifting very slowly, you're only going to get a little bit way up the pot when you're going to run out of water, aren't you? So what you need to do is speed up that lift, because you see as I bring the clay up, there's more water higher up the pot. If you're too stagnant in your lift and too slow, you see the clay is going to go dry on you. So you want to move it up a bit faster. You'll find more water higher up the pot, and that's where a lot of people are going wrong. Okay, which brings me on to my third point, and that is they don't get the watering right. Okay, and the watering is key, because that's the lubrication that your hands have in contact with the clay, is the water. That's the key factor. So you really need to learn how to water. So for all you people out there who are beginners, this is what I recommend. Open your finger like that. There's the web there. Put the web over the pot. Fingers touching. Okay, it's no point if your fingers are like this, because they're not touching the pot. They've got to be in contact, like that, in contact with the clay. And then you're going to take your water and you're just going to put it there like that, you see. Because then the water runs down both fingers on the inside and the outside and waters the pot. Gets it nicely lubricated. So every time you're going to start a lift, before you do it, you're going to water it, okay? None of this business. You know, I see people doing this, splashing water around. That's no good. You're not getting the water where it needs. Imagine you're going to put some oil in your car engine, and you just sort of open the hood and you open the filler cap and you just sort of splashed water all over the top of the engine. You know, what would that do? Well, you might get one drop that went down the filler cap hole, but what about all the rest of the water is just wasted, isn't it? It's just a mess. Because it's not going where it needs to go. You've got to get the water where it's needed. Okay? So you want to be specific in your watering. This is what I'm trying to teach you. Be specific. Put the water there. Let it run down both fingers that are in contact with it. If you do that, okay, now you're going to go down to the bottom of the pot. Create your lifting point, okay? Finger posture, inside hand a little bit above the outside hand. And we're just going to go like this. You see? Outside fingers push in, inside fingers above push out. So you get that, you see that scissor movement? So when you go down the bottom of the pot, that's effectively what I do. That creates that lifting bulge. Okay, I've watered the pot. Now I'm going to just move on up the pot. Okay, don't dawdle. No loitering, please. Okay, take it up to the top. When you get to the top here, don't go over the lip like that. Some people come up to the top here and just go merrily over the lip. No, you've got to stop there, right just at the top edge. Just stop, hold it a second, fingers off. Okay? Okay, so I've got to do some more here. So I'm going to, you see my finger posture? A bit of water there, and then spread the water with my right hand. Okay, I'm going to go down to the bottom again, and now I'm going to fill out the belly, lifting. Now I'm coming in a touch. Looking for the gauge. I'm going to make sure I don't get my head in front of that camera. Fill it on there. And up to the gauge. Oh, where's my throwing stick gone? Where is my throwing stick gone? Hang on, let's pull them back the camera a second. I'm going to put down my throwing stick somewhere, and I don't know where. On my travels around my workshop. Did I leave it over there? Where's that gone? Do you ever lose your tools? You see, I'm out of practice making these videos, so going to have to look for another throwing stick. Okay, this one will do. Yeah. just looking for the gauge. Looking for the shape. Yeah. Slightly taper the lip here, so it's thin and it feels nice in the mouth. Okay. Okay, so I just want to recap this with you very quickly because get this guy off. So wheel speed, a little bit of extra speed when you're centering, okay, so just cone it up and now center it down. Breaking in, okay, opening out. Cone it in, always keep them coned in at the top. Now, as you lift, bring it on up. Don't hang around. Get that water, that's so important. Get that water. Every single time you do a lift, you want to get that water. Now bring it on up. Don't be slow about it. Okay? That's basically, in a nutshell, really what I'm trying to demonstrate here, show you, is you have a slower wheel, have a faster lift, and every single time that you're going to do a lift, you're going to give it water. Okay, that's it really. Okay, I don't want to go on about it, but that's if you can get that right, those three things. If you can get that right, those three things. That wheel speed, that pull and lift speed, and get it watered every single time. All right, without fail. Because what you've got to avoid is that sensation of the clay dragging on your fingers. Because what it does, you see, it creates a drag which pulls the pot. It pulls it over. It pulls it out of shape. And then afterwards, when you try and rectify it, it's doing this, you see. And it's all due to not having the right amount of water. Ay. It's true though, honestly, I approve this time and time again, watching them work and seeing, where their problem begins, And I mean, I'm not saying this is the only problems that people have. I mean, sometimes, of course, it goes without saying, make sure that your lump of clay is properly centered. That goes without saying. I'm just assuming that you've got your clay properly centered to start with, because if you haven't got that, I mean, that is your number one, isn't it? Get that lump of clay really nicely centered. And but then as you progress and make the pot, pay close attention to the water, where it's going, and the speeds that we've been talking about, okay? If you do that, you'll have success. Okay? Write to me, leave your comments below.